back.
Yeah.
So today we have a few things we'll be going over, and the main gist of the topic would be the recent surface news on the possible use of reverse flash, zoom for
Thorn.
Thorn for Eobert Thorn for
Yeah.
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Exactly. That's an interesting, what is it, bit of news that has come in.
Absolutely.
All right. And we'll
Yeah.
definitely go through it.
Exactly, yeah. And before that, I just wanted to quickly mention Blue Beetle is releasing soon. And although the hype seems quite muted, but it is a big DCU movie.
No, I'm pretty much hyped for Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
I think it
Is
will
it-
be a good movie.
Is it just the music that got you hyped, or just the introduction
No,
of
no,
the
I think the characters
Latino
also.
superhero and his first foray?
Yeah, I mean that as well, right? I mean, and then there's another thing that the character is also good. I mean, it's a pretty good character, and I think people will like. People will love it.
I've heard some people say that he looks like a junior version of Iron Man, but obviously that's not the case. He seems to have an armor. Obviously, that's what people.
That's not an armor.
Yeah, but exactly, it's much more. The Scarab.
The Scarab.
Yes, but
And it's just not one, huh?
indeed, yes, you will see the villain as well. Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that this has been in the news, and although it's not getting a lot of hype, I feel personally the movie has good potential, and let's hope for the best. To be honest, they seem very passionate people. The director, Zolo, homeboy from Cobra Kai, love that guy. So I wish him the very best. And
No, I have high hopes for this movie. Although we know that it's just a one-off right now, considering James Gunn's DCU.
Correct.
But I have high hopes for this movie, man. I think it will be great.
Let's hope the fans do justice to their favorite DC superheroes, right? If you want to support your superheroes, if you want the DCU, then you should go and watch movies and then come and talk about it.
Yeah,
Rather than just dismissing them, saying he's not my hero, or
Yeah.
he doesn't look good. Whatever
Right.
camp you are.
I mean, everybody has their own perspective of what
Exactly,
they want their superhero movie to be. And I think the recent barrage of disappointments only came from, fans. All right, let's put it that way. Okay. But let's see, man. Let's see.
Yeah. And another interesting thing is that Zack Snyder's tweeted that he's interested in watching Blue Beetle. And then James Gunn retweeted the tweet that Zack Snyder made. So things seem pretty cool around that scenario. So that's good, but just something.
Yeah, I think they still might be friends, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly. They've known each other in the industry. And also David Ayer, who's gunning for his cut, has also tweeted that he's heard great things about Blue Beetle. I know he wants his cut of the Suicide Squad, but yeah, so a lot of stuff behind the scenes happening, which is why I felt we should just mention it. And also, whilst the SAG strike's going on, there were around 27 Latin organizations which have given their support for Blue Beetle. So I think whilst WB haven't put in the money for the marketing, because they jumped the gun with the Flash, they talked the big talk, but eventually what happened, it was a bit of a lackluster movie, which we'll discuss. I guess they're being more careful with this, but it's good to know that some other organizations are supporting Blue Beetle. So I honestly wish that it does really good, and let's see how it goes. And getting to the meat of the topic. So one of the biggest. So recently, there's been a lot of articles resurfacing about how the DCU should have ended, how it has ended. So Zack Snyder's storyboard artist J. Olivia has, and BigB will give us a bit more information on this, has revealed the original idea for Flashpoint Paradox to end, and the villain as well, as opposed to what we got in Flashpoint.
I mean, that would have been really interesting. Zoom pulling all the strings, that would have been very interesting. I mean, I can't tell you, I guess, especially on the big screen as well, that would be amazing. And that would eventually lead to Flashpoint as well, right?
Yeah.
And restart the DCU and again and all that. But then,
correct.
I think we missed out.
I have a question though, regards to this. Don't you think the reason they didn't use him, because then it would be so similar to the animated movie?
No, I don't think so.
And the Flashpoint Paradox comic as well. Like,
see,
it wouldn't be much of a guessing game.
If you're comparing
As what they
the movie right now, The Flash, I think this was just done under the banner of Flashpoint Paradox.
Absolutely.
All right, and they just used Flashpoint. alright? The Flash, it was just called Flash. Before the movie was something else, right?
Mm.
The movie was the Flashpoint Paradox, right?
Yes.
And then it changed up, everything
Multiple
changed
directors.
multiple times and all that. Then it
That's
just
right.
became the Flash.
Yeah.
Now, the base script might have been the same.
Mm.
There might have been different villains, okay? It might have been Zoom, you don't know, okay?
Mm.
But ultimately they used it under that umbrella, under that, the same bandwagon that, going back in time, resetting time, creating a different timeline, alright? But then it wasn't done up to the point where it could have, matched the complexity of the comic and also the animated version. Okay, because the animated version very close to the
Very close to the comic.
To the comic.
Superior.
Yeah, very close to the comic.
Well
Although
liked
there was
by-
few things in the comics that weren't there, but very close. Very close.
Then it makes sense, J. Olivia, obviously, because he was producer on the animated movie as well, saying that this was the plan and
See, the only thing that was from the comics was the part of him going back in time.
Yep. Constantly
helping his mom. I mean, make sure his mom doesn't die. Creating a separate timeline.
Yeah.
Okay, and then losing his powers and getting his powers back again. Okay, that was the only thing.
Yep. Very similar.
That was there from the middle. Rest all things were just put in some. There were multiple things put as fan service. Okay.
Oh yes,
And another thing, when they were showing all the cameos as well, okay,
Yep.
there could have been better cameos.
they could have, yeah. They
Okay,
touched
some
it.
cameos I liked.
They were
Okay,
very
the
nice.
Nicolas Cage one was very good, but then
Yeah.
there are other cameos which could have come in.
Which were very much needed.
You know, like Adventures of Lewis and Clark.
Oh yes.
Okay, they should have showed that. That was a big show for Superman.
Oh yes, it was.
It's just like what Lewis and Clark is
Dean
right
Cain
now.
and yeah.
That has like what 4 seasons, man. That's a good show.
At least that's correct.
Okay, so that is one thing, and then other cameos of Batman, cameos of animated movies,
Oh, yes.
and all that, right?
See, that is a
Those
missed opportunity.
were-
The animated movies, because they're universally
They
liked.
really dropped the ball on that one. Huh?
Mm.
They really dropped the ball on that one, and there was no big bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally just himself.
It's
And,
just himself,
yeah.
and there's nothing else.
So the reveal wasn't as iconic as we would have wanted it to be.
No.
And so going back to J. Olivia's recommendation, he wishes it would have been done like this. Maybe let's also talk about some other news that's come regarding this. So there's been disputed claims as to what the original run was supposed to happen by Zack Snyder. So maybe you can clarify this for me. So from what I've heard and understood, this multiple reports, Zack Snyder wanted a 5-arc movie, right? Starting off with Man of Steel, BVS, Justice League Part 1, Justice League Part 2, and then ending at Flashpoint Paradox. Right?
Yes.
Some people say it was supposed to be a quadrology, just Man of Steel, Batman
I
vs
think
Superman,
there was
Justice League
Man
1
of
and 2.
Steel, and then there was some movies between Justice League 1 and Justice League 2.
Maybe an individual Batman movie?
Yeah, one individual Batman movie was there, and there were other movies like Suicide Squad as well, and all these movies were supposed to be coming. Because as you see, right,
Yeah,
the
everything
biggest part in Zack Snyder's Justice League was the scene when you flash that dream sequence.
when he goes back, yeah.
That-
Oh, the nightmare sequence.
That is a
yeah.
really big throwback to comics as well.
Comics
huh?
as well, yes.
Especially that highlights Infinite Crisis. The Flash goes back in time, tries to warn Batman, please don't do this, blah 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 blah, and all that.
Over here, Lois is the key, and
Yeah, Lewis is the key and all this. So there are a lot of things that could have happened there, and what Zach was planning, there were tidbits.
Yeah,
put
you
in
could
there.
see that. Yeah,
You could see that there was
he
there.
sprinkled
He'd sprinkled
stuff,
some
the
things.
nightmare sequence, everything.
Yeah.
He was supposed.
Although when he did the Zack Snyder cut and it was just on HBO Max, that was kind of like his only shot that he had, just to show whatever he had.
Yeah, it was his magnum opus of.
Correct. Whatever he had planned, we never got to see that, and this was one of the things that could have been really great, because
Agreed.
if he was pulling the strings,
Yeah.
okay, and if this led to Flashpoint, okay, then you could see that everything that happened, Superman submitting to the anti-life equation, okay, Lois Lane dying,
Guys, yeah.
all right, Batman and Joker working together and all this, in a dystopian future,
Oh, yes.
fighting Darkseid, fighting Superman as well.
Exactly. Either
You
way,
know,
yeah.
It was, I mean,
That's
just
so, it's just
it's,
mind blowing.
it's almost as same as the ending of Flashpoint Paradox.
Correct.
The only difference is that you have all the characters. You don't have different versions of the characters. Like you don't have Bruce Wayne's dad being Batman or anything like that. But you have those same characters, all right, fighting together to make this,
Yeah. To save the
future.
Save the future. So obviously this is a very sensitive topic on whether you like Zack's vision or you don't.
But somebody else took this idea But I guess the DC animated people, they took this idea and made Justice League Apocalypse. Right?
Apocalypse, that's
Because
correct.
that's the same storyline as this.
True, very good point out, to be honest, yeah. What my thinking is, so we know DC has been in a turmoil, multiple factors. Just to summarize it, a lot of studio interference and expectations on how much money could be made. But let's say James Gunn or David Zaslav, when WBD took over WB Discovery and everything, why do you think they didn't close this chapter? Like, so you've got Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman. You've allowed Snyder to make his Justice League 1. Allow him to make Justice League Part 2 because he's done most of the storyboarding, everything. And then finish it off with Flashpoint. Why did they get rid of Henry Cavill? They don't want Gal Gadot. And then, we'll talk about this as well, back and forth. But when things are a mess, according to some of the fans and some of them, why didn't they just close off this chapter in a nice, positive way and then move forward, as opposed to this hurried?
I think, like you said, right, there was a lot of things happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And another prime example of this is that when, Black Adam came out.
Oh, yes.
There was another chance there as well.
We'll make an episode on that as well.
Okay. Dwayne,
Yeah.
he fought as much as he could. But I think in the background, what was happening is that, there were already talks with James Gunn. Okay. And they were going to bring him on board.
And he wasn't privy to that. 100%.
Correct. And whether Black
Or maybe
Adam did good or not. Okay. They might have just pulled a fast one on Dwayne saying that, okay, let's do this, that, blah, blah, because bringing Henry Cavill back,
Yeah, that's a big.
filming that scene,
And then for
that
him to-
is, I mean,
Yeah, that's not just a. Hi Henry, we like you. We haven't given you a sequel for almost 10 years, but we want you to come back.
Henry Cavill tweeting as well, right? So
Yeah, exactly. It's
Something was there, right? I mean,
Indeed,
people
something
are-
more concrete. Yeah,
You
you can't. Yeah, you can't just say, "Oh, Henry was just told that we like him and we might do work with him," and he went
or
on to
just
make a
paid
tweet.
for that tweet.
Yeah, exactly. Henry Cavill doesn't do that. He
Yeah.
is a he.
No, even The Rock
he
wouldn't
is
do
a
that,
product in
right?
himself, right? Anything that he endorses, he's very passionate about these things. That's something that I really like about Henry Cavill as a person, and his prowess as a within marketing as well. When he promises or he goes behind something, he delivers. He's serious about it.
No, I don't think The Rock would also not do anything like this.
Like this,
Because
yeah.
He has a big fan base and he wants to take care of his image as well. Right? That matters to him the most. And he got hurt by this, right? And a lot of his fans also doubted him. Even I was like, what the hell,
Yes, all of us did.
Yeah,
Especially when he kept saying the hierarchy of power is going to change, change. That was an
There was a
interesting.
lot of hype, no?
There was a lot of hype, yeah.
Amazing, the same hype was around, what you call, The Flash as well, no?
Oh yes,
Same type of hype was around.
indeed. Well, so we're just gonna jump off because you brought the Flash to a point I was going to address later on. Flash had, regardless of all the issues we've had with Ezra Miller, whether what he's done is correct or wrong, it's just so much to unravel. We're not gonna get into it, but there was so much behind the scenes. Any other actor, pretty much most of the times, would have been dismissed, or the movie would have been planted, as in destroyed, gone. But they kept his vision and his version of the Flashpoint. But why do you think, with so much of hype, David Zaslav and James Gunn, mind you, saying this is one of the best superhero movies ever, and the movie performs so bad? It doesn't make sense, right?
No, I
It's
think
quite
this
astonishing,
was-
isn't it?
I think this was all, just hype.
It was hype, but to do it so bad, for it to fall so bad, that's quite intriguing. When the fans say, let Gunn cook, or we are behind James Gunn's vision. We like him from Guardians of the Galaxy, from the Suicide Squad, from Peacemaker. We like what he's done. Why didn't they go and support him in numbers? I went to watch the movie multiple times actually. So.
See,
What is up with the DC
I'll
fans?
tell you why this movie was promoted, and I think this was the use case, right? In this scenario, is that it was James Gunn's time, right? And I think this was the one movie that he supported.
Indirectly though, because he couldn't exactly, because it was still part of the DCEU, right?
Correct, yeah. But then I think movies like Blue Beetle aren't. Whereas originally, they were.
They were, but Blue Beetle now he says is the first DCU movie.
He said that right
He
now,
said
yeah?
he said that in a few well, some of his quotes have been taken on online or somewhere. It's like the original hero for DCU. But this is getting conflicted as well. So
no, I think that is conflicted a bit. But then him promoting Flashpoint was more like just like what he did with Suicide Squad 2. If you look at Suicide Squad 2, right? His reboot, he killed all the old characters.
He did, yeah. It's like an announcement.
Yeah,
I'm here.
Even Joel's character, right?
Gone.
Gone. And on top of that, you got somebody like what do you call John Cena's character? Was it Peacemaker? Peacemaker, yeah.
Peacemaker, that's correct.
Peacemaker, coming on top.
Indeed, yeah.
And Ratcatcher 2? Seriously? Wow.
True.
Wow,
that was a surprise.
I mean, from Deadshot to here, wow, just wow.
But maybe because he's had so much success with Guardians of the Galaxy, right? He knows he can take a ragtag bunch of heroes and he can make them A-listers.
It's tough, man.
It is tough. But he's done it with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah.
But it's the Guardians of the Galaxy.
He's done it with Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'll put it this way: Guardians of the Galaxy is easy. Okay,
well,
I'll put it this way.
I think in the MCU, saying that, because no one had done it before, I think he did a great job. But in the comic,
that's what I'm saying.
Comic version,
it is easy for him. Right, those characters weren't complex as well, and nobody
knew anything about them. Yeah, even so-called comic readers.
Yeah, I mean, some comic fans would know of them. All right. I mean, if you look at the first comic book for Guardians of the Galaxy, completely different cast of characters. Okay, this was one that was something made, I guess, in the late '90s or early 2000s, maybe. Okay. These characters, Gamora and all these, they came together and they made Guardians of the Galaxy when Marvel was, I think, relaunched as one Marvel relaunch happened. I don't know. I stopped reading just for which I stopped reading Marvel comics in right after the Clone Saga, 1999 was the year I stopped reading it. Yes.
Completely. Never read anything.
Spider-Man was my favorite character of all time.
You heard it first over here.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, Spidey is a lot of people's favorite character.
Yeah. No, for me, it was my
one
favorite
of the most
character. I used to really, inline myself with Spidey. Really, really, really. I mean, look at the kid. He's bullied at school, doesn't have money in college.
Yeah.
Has
a lot of people
bills
could relate.
to pay. So that's why
very
I can
fragile.
relate.
Yeah, a lot of people could relate in one way or another. It's fun. No doubt. Even still do people.
Even still do.
He's one of the most
core essence of Spidey was really captured with in the Amazing Spider-Man and the Spider-Man movies. That was really good.
Absolutely.
Recent Spider-Man movies. I mean,
it's more of an MCU segue to Spider-Man. For me,
it's not.
Yeah.
It's not Spider-Man,
exactly. It's Spider-Man existing in the
The people love it.
True.
I think it's that same Backstreet Boys feeling right now.
Yeah. We've gone a bit off tangent, but the reason I wanted to speak about the Flash or just bring it up is also one of the points on the agenda. Was like, I think there must be a lot of reasons, but CGI is also a strong reason why a lot of people found it jarring. But I've noticed most of the people
that is very strange. And this
very strange,
with this much of big budget and all that.
Indeed, it makes no sense. But most of the people
this long to make and having bad CGI.
Bad CGI, yeah. It's just choppy.
I don't know.
Yeah. So maybe this deterred people, but I can tell you from cinema experience.
Does Barbie have CGI?
I'm sure it does. Still haven't watched it, but I'm sure it does.
Huh? We need to see how that CGI is done. As a comparison point, to see that is it good or is it bad?
No, I think Flash's CGI takes the cake. It's on another level.
But why?
There are
you have such big budget?
Because
I don't buy that reason.
There's no uniformity, right? It seems like a lot of different people have put in their.
And you told me that you read somewhere the reason for this was that it's because he is.
The director defending him.
Defending the CGI.
Yeah.
Because he's going back in time.
Like he wants it to be like this.
It's like a bit loopy and all that, but that doesn't.
I think that's a bad excuse, and
that doesn't make sense.
I don't think the director,
I don't.
He's doing himself any good honors by saying that. You can defend a lot of things, obviously, but I believe universally people don't like the CGI.
How was Black Adam CGI? That was good.
Better than this. 100%.
That was better than this, right?
Better than this, no doubt.
I don't remember it being bad, especially the Hawkman scene, the Hawkman army scene.
And the fight sequences were really
amazing.
Amazing sequences.
That was truly amazing. Even the Black Adam scenes were amazing.
So now, my second question for the Flash was it bad writing? Do you think that was the reason the movie didn't do good? I think it falls flat on what it promises. From what we know,
I'm telling you, it was all based on number one, nostalgia. Number 2 under the banner of this.
Keaton.
Yeah,
Style.
under the banner of this comic.
Yes.
Saying that okay,
one of the
it's
greatest
hyped
comics.
up a Flashpoint because this comic is amazing. I mean, I can't tell the animated movie came out in 2011. The comic came out I think in 2009, 2010 maybe. You know, Jeff Johns.
Amazing.
I mean, you can hate him all you want, but the guy's a good writer.
Yeah.
Okay, he's written some
He
good
might
stuff.
he might not be the best as DC head, but as a writer.
No, that
It's amazing.
if I go back a few years when Batman vs Superman was coming out and these guys, and if it's still on YouTube, I would suggest everybody to watch that show. That show was amazing where you had Kevin Smith, you had Jeff Johns on stage, and they were talking about the future of the DCEU. We're talking Green Lantern, we're talking Hawkman, we're talking so many characters,
so many promises
coming in. And that Green Lantern movie is the one that was supposed to come in the middle as well, right?
That is true.
Okay, that was the one.
And it was gonna
use the Lantern Core, not just Green Lantern, the Lantern Core.
You took the words out of my mouth. They were gonna open a whole can of Lantern cores,
The
whole universe of Lantern.
You got the Blue Lantern, Red Lantern, the Yellow Lantern, everybody.
Amazing, yeah. So I think there's a lot of different things which contributed to the Flash not doing as good as it is. And I've also heard a very interesting remark. Don't want to be so blunt and call it an excuse. So you see, like a lot of MCU fans. I don't like comparisons, but I have to in this aspect. A lot of MCU fans say, "See, we don't read comics, we don't watch animated movies, but we love the MCU, and it's understandable because they've made a very good universe." So there's a lot of new DC EU fans who say we don't read the comics, we're not specific on the characters, but we like the DCU. So there are some fans who said, yeah, the Flash, you might say it's based on the Flashpoint paradox, but it's not the Flashpoint paradox.
No, it's not.
Right? And to a degree,
Some
they're correct though.
Some elements have been taken.
They have been taken.
But
But it's under the moniker, right? It's under the moniker.
Oh, that's the thing.
And the story, yeah. So I think there's a bit of confusion over there as well, what the fans expected and what they got. But ultimately, I think there's a lot of behind-the-scenes things happening, a lot of editing issues, a lot of storyboarding issues, a lot of things are coming back and forth, and they just didn't make sense. Like for me personally, Ben Affleck was wasted, and I could contest with anyone who wants to.
I think
Others as well.
But
But for me, as a Batfleck fan, I strongly believe Ben Affleck was wasted in the Flash. If he didn't exist in the Flash, seriously, and you can say whatever to me, it wouldn't have made much of a difference. And for him to say, "Oh, this is one of my greatest Batman portrayals," is quite an underhanded, statement. Doesn't make no sense because Keaton takes the cake. And I have nothing against that. We loved watching him. The nostalgia is amazing. Him just calmly holding the rail and saying, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." The music goes, you're just like, wow, the Batcave, everything.
Interesting thing is that dialogue, right? When he delivered that
in '89.
In '89.
Yeah.
I think it
ridiculous.
I think it only became a meme in the late 2000s or the mid 2000s, something like that. Only at that time.
Okay.
Before that, we knew that, but we respected it as a scene because immediately after Joker goes like this, he says that would you dance with the devil in the pale of moonlight?
Yes.
He's like, what? He's like, oh shit, where did I hear this from, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So then he goes back to the Batcave and he goes things. So even if you look at the soundtrack, which was done by Prince,
yes,
that is their own loop.
Yeah.
In some of the songs.
True.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Yeah, that is amazing.
A lot of the dialogue is there. Well, what else is there? I gotta go to work.
So, I think there was a lot of reasons, and
so nostalgia played a big part.
Yeah.
Okay, in the movie, people watching it, liking it, but then that was still not enough, man.
It wasn't
telling
enough,
the story has to be tight, man.
But I just feel that the fans, especially fans of the DCU or DC fans who just want this to move on, irregardless of the saga, the Snyder Cut,
I think
they should have. I think they should have just gone and at least seen the movie because the box office numbers are very bad.
It is dusted.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any point talking about it. Move on.
True.
Okay. See what this new thing has to offer. Or go in with completely zero expectations.
Whilst I totally agree with you on that, and that is the way to move on. It's just that it was such a heavy topic, and it was the one thing holding the thread between DCU and DCU that people still talk about it now.
Yeah, that was.
It is what
the studio dropped the ball, man.
Yeah, the studio.
That's the only thing I can say. The studio dropped the ball.
True.
That's the only thing I can say.
Talking about back and forth news, another interesting quote came then was hashed back, and then has resurfaced. So a few weeks ago, Gal Gadot, our illustrious Wonder Woman, Princess Diana, said, "I've met with James Gunn, and whatever you've heard in the past, he will be working with me on a Wonder Woman 3 movie." And everybody was like, "Whoa, wasn't the reason that Henry Cavill not being rebooted has been taken is not going to work now Gal Gadot as well?" And everybody was started hyping, "Oh my God, Gal Gadot said this. Maybe she's working behind the scenes. Is she going to be Wonder Woman? Is she not going to be Wonder Woman? Is she going to be producer role?" And then within a few days, no, the quote comes back. "Oh, nothing is being promised by James Gunn or DC to Gal Gadot."
Henry, right?
Exactly. So, and then defenders of Gunn, you've got defenders of Gunn, you've got defenders of Gadot. Defenders of Gunn.
This is an interesting debate, huh?
It is. Defenders of Gunn, which are in the majority nowadays, they've said, "Oh, Gunn never promised anything. She just took something and moved on with it. Like she's using a basic quote or something just like, 'Oh, we like you, Gadot. We might work with you.' And she's making a big deal out of it." And then there's another quote which came recently, Gadot saying, "Oh, Wonder Woman is in the safest of hands with James Gunn. So I'm very happy with that." But Gal, what are you doing? Will you be starring in it? Were you promised and then not?
Oh, I think when she
Are you
said
not? Are you going to be a producer? What is going on?
Oh, I think when
So
she
you
said
see-
that she's
So you
gone,
see,
right?
how can I move on with the news when I keep getting these articles back and forth? What is going on with DC?
No, I think this article was pretty clear. I mean, her saying that it's in good hands with James Gunn means that she's out.
But then why was she saying before we might be working together? So I feel
the problem. No?
Yeah.
This is the problem.
with the WB, isn't it? Would you say this is a WB problem?
WB, the rumor base, everything. This is the problem, right? This is the thing. Now, suppose when I know that this is all done and dusted,
Yeah, Snyder Cut.
okay,
Yeah,
everything's
that's
done.
clear.
I have this here, right?
Yeah.
But I still know it's not complete.
Yep.
And I still get, tidbits of things like,
The storyboarding.
Zoom is gonna be here and
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff. Then,
It entices you to
think about
it. Yeah.
And want
What
more.
could have been or
What
yeah.
could have been, and it could have, wanted more.
That's why my initial question was, why was it finished in such a hurried way? If they had finished it properly,
Yeah, that was.
see, they would have closed the chapter or put it in an alternate universe, and then maybe we're gonna touch on it. But because it's thrown in such a way, Henry Cavill booted off, and then a guy just 2 years older than him.
My thing was that before, one thing that I would have done is that before Batman versus Superman, we should have gotten another Superman movie.
Yeah, or at least a Batman movie, right?
No, another Superman movie. Batman was already done. Now. Batman is done a lot of time.
But then you've got your MOS, and then you've got your MOS 2,
Yeah.
and then Batman vs Superman.
Then get Batman versus
And
Superman,
then
then get other characters, then get Justice.
Okay, and then in MOS 2,
I'll tell
would you
you
want
why.
to introduce Batman and other characters better, as opposed to in
maybe,
BBS?
but I would still want to keep it a Superman story. I would tell you why.
Which Zack Snyder's original vision was. His movie was supposed to be more Superman.
Because that made more sense. I'll tell you why. Because Superman hasn't had that much big screen time in a long
He
time.
hasn't in a long time.
Okay,
That's-
Batman has gotten a lot of big screen
Yeah.
time. Okay.
The excellent trilogy.
And the
The
Nolan
Dark Knight,
trilogy,
the
and
Nolan
everything and all
trilogies.
that, right?
God
If
love him.
Superman had gone that, people would have related to the character. If it's only one character that you relate with, then the rest of the movies will do good. This I'm telling you.
True.
And this is a worked formula, huh?
You see, actually, that's a very good point, and because he's the hardest character to relate to, right?
I know it.
For the usual fans, for the
usual
generic
fans.
fan, right?
Same
So you're right, they
thing-
should have focused on
I'll
it.
tell you one thing.
Maybe
Same-
Zack Snyder wanted that. You never know. Because the studio wanted the greatest two superheroes to fight, because WB wanted the Marvel money, right?
No, I
The
think that
interference.
was in reaction to Civil War.
Yeah, that was exactly. But Civil War had so much to go to get up to that level, right? WB doesn't understand that. They haven't understood this. I hope for DC fans' sake and for James Gunn's sake, I hope he understands this.
No, I'll tell
I'm
you
sure
what,
he does
If we
understand.
had that second MOS movie, people would have understood more why they're fighting. Then you don't need to cram everything up in
That
a
is
3 hour long movie. Although I think comic book fans love 3 hour movies, man. I love a 3 hour movie if it's about a comic book.
Bro, I love a 4-hour movie as well. So 3 hours is minor.
Mine.
It ain't no tank. That's how it is. Literally. Like for people complaining, like I remember when The Irishman was released on Netflix, right? During the pandemic, by the way. Almost close to the pandemic.
Yeah,
maybe
close to the
2019.
pandemic. Close to the
And
pandemic.
everyone's like, oh my god, and guys, this is at home, you're at home and you're complaining, how are you going to watch a 3-hour movie, right? And I'm like, I'm happy to go, I've gone for double bills.
Yeah.
You know the death of Superman, the return of the Superman, the double bill?
Yes.
In the
You're in the UK,
I was in London at that time, I went for the double bill and I was like, I want more. That's 3.5 hours almost, no? Yeah, you're right. We don't
Interesting take. The Death of Superman was also the DC animated one, right? Before this. The Bruce Timm type animation, right?
Yeah.
Before this.
Oh yeah,
But this one also took the cake. It's very good.
It's very good, yeah.
The second part is very good.
Very
Hank Shaw, oof.
Oh, true.
That impressed me a lot, huh?
It did.
I missed out on that Mayfix figure, man. Fuck.
Oh.
That was a good one. That's a good one.
So yeah, that's what's happened with Gal Gadot. So now for the viewers
Yeah.
who weren't up to date, you've got what's happening
You've
with
got
DC.
what's happening, yeah.
So the next news item on the agenda is the most talked about DCU movie. The apparently first DCU movie confirmed by DC heads James Gunn and Peter Safran. Superman Legacy.
Superman Legacy.
Everything riding on this movie for DC live action. Can Gunn bring back the fandom and unite it with all the furore that's happened, with all the Snyder bots and the real DC fans, and
This is gonna be a big fight, huh? This is gonna be a big fight. I mean, Superman has been done before. Snyder has done it. Done in the early 70s and 80s as well. Okay, so tough, man, tough, and that's a tough story as well.
Very tough story because
That's
he's going to deconstruct Superman, as we've been told.
But let's see, man. I mean, I don't want him doing a funny washy like he did with the Guardians, like he did with
Absolutely
Suicide
not.
Squad 2 as well. So
Yeah.
this movie
Absolutely not. That won't work.
really has to be lock on. It has to be a hardcore Superman story. It has to be touching the same elements that Grant Morrison did in the comic book. All right, I mean, it has to give us Superman so that the fandom can come back, and they have to be relating to the character as well.
I think on that, I'd like to recollect what you said in the last episode, the previous episode that we did, on how the fandom was so into Smallville, remember?
Yeah.
Because they really saw what Superman stood for, was
that's something
as
that I think
a
that
farm boy, as an alien,
Yeah.
how he grew up, his surrounding, his parents, his allegiance to Earth, him finding out that he's actually an alien, his conflict. Maybe that's what they need to do, but can they do it in a live action movie?
No, man. I think it'll be
Hard,
tough for him.
right?
Like I said before, it'll be
Yeah.
tough for him. And Superman is not an easy character. You think it's easy, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
Smallville became relatable because they stripped down Superman to our level. He started with finding out his powers from a human, making it relatable in some point of view, and saying that okay, maybe you're someone, you're starting a new school, you're maybe going to college, you need to make new friends, you need to break out, okay, you need to just be, mindful of of things around you, and understand people, make new friends, make enemies as well along the way. You don't know who is good for you, who is bad for you. Those understandings you have to develop. And with relation to Superman's powers, that is what Clark was doing. He was understanding what he had over here, because he understood the fact that he's not from this planet. Okay, that's what his father and then his Earth mother, Earth parents told him.
Yes.
Okay, showed him the ship and all this. He had to understand. And just like any other kid growing up, you have to understand things around you, the environment around you. Understand it.
Correct.
That was a big understanding factor, right? The character was stripped down and then built on. Okay,
That's where they succeeded.
that's what this. Now in this movie, if you start with Superman, okay, then you are doing a homecoming. You already have an established character like Spider-Man there, okay, blah blah. Peter Parker's going to college, school, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah.
So my understanding is that he's not going to show
His origins,
story, something like that, and then he's just going to start. Okay, Superman is in the world. Okay, then start breaking up the character from there. That is very difficult to do. Unless and until you have an established fan base, or you have something already established that okay, you have a certain base available that you can build on top of this and then go. Or maybe if he's planning to do something like this, that in the sense that, okay, after the Flash, multiple universes came across, so in one universe there's the Superman, and that's the DCU that we'll focus on. Sort of like a new 52. Okay, maybe go along those lines. Okay,
possibility.
that makes the only sense, and that makes the only thing that this guy might be writing into.
That's a very good point, I would say. Yeah, I believe that those are some of the tangents that he could go off to. But as you said, it's quite a monumental task deconstructing Superman in a movie without it being an original movie, without it being a basic to, as in him growing up as a basic farm boy learning his powers.
See, you gotta know that James Gunn is a studio boy. Okay, he'll work for the corporate. He did the same thing for Marvel. Although he was given a lot of creative freedom and all that, but at the end of the day, he worked for Marvel, and he delivered the movies that made money.
Correct.
Okay. Same thing he proved with Suicide Squad 2 as well.
He did, yeah.
And Peacemaker. He said that I deliver, and then I deliver. And even if you look at that, even Henry was not there, but I think Jason Momoa and our Flash were there.
Yeah.
Okay. And both of them came at the end scene where,
Peacemaker, yeah.
You guys are late and all this, blah, blah, and all this, right? But that was really tarnishing Justice League, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
I mean, I don't mind this kind of stuff, but it's okay. But then still, man, you've got the greatest superhero team in the world.
True.
Come on.
In the comic world, absolutely.
He just did that,
Yeah, he did indeed, yeah. Maybe he was making a point.
Superman was there as well, by the way.
Yeah, exactly, apparently.
And he's doing Superman, huh? So let's see.
Indeed, yeah. I just hope it's not a Superman demise, because that would be very awkward, and I don't feel he would do that. As in, we get introduced to a Superman, and then a Grant Morrison's,
Let's ride and die on this movie,
Yeah,
man. Let's ride and die on this movie.
I think what he's going to do, right? From his posts, from his Twitter cover image picture, from his banner, where he's showing a very classic take on Superman, right? The Christopher Reeves version of Superman. I think he's really going to focus on the good things about Superman, as in the completely. And now, I don't want to sully it by saying goody two shoes, but the beacon of hope, the face of justice, the superhero cares about everyone selflessly. Maybe he's just going to narrow down so much on the positive and feel good of Superman, because why I feel this way is because a lot of the critique has been from people, the Henry Cavill or the Nolan trilogy and the Nolan era of Superman and Batman are too dark. We want Superman because they don't understand this Superman, right? This take of Superman, the Dark Knight Returns Superman, Frank Miller. They want Superman to go back. Superman Returns tried it in a sense, it didn't work out. Now it's because for a lot of DC fans, they remember the Christopher Reeve Superman, and then they don't. They remember the Smallville Superman, but they don't remember Superman Returns and Henry Cavill. Maybe James Gunn rides on that version of feel good, the greatest superhero, the original good superhero,
good Superman,
the ray of light. Maybe that's a way for him to get people into it, and he uses a lot of other characters, which you've seen a lot of the casting for a lot of side characters, Guy Gardner as well, so many, and
Guy
supports
Gardner,
supports him, and somehow builds a foundation. Which is not entirely Superman, but he's pitching it as an entirely Superman movie, and then slowly branches out, right? Because maybe he wants to get the masses in. It's not an easy take, but I'm just saying.
Let's see.
There's a lot of writing on it.
It's ride and die, man.
Ride and die. And as a Superman fan myself, as a DC comic fan yourself, I'm sure we are all very interested to know, because we want. We want Superman, we want the DC live action.
You should be holding this.
We want
Superman.
Superman, exactly. We want the red and blue. We want Superman to succeed. So So let's see. Let's hope that Superman Legacy does justice to the character that it deserves. And very intriguing times, and a lot riding on him as being successful or not for as a DCU head. I'm sure he's giving it his all, so let's see. Also, recently the DCU have been adjusting their expectations of box office collections for a lot of movies. I believe after Black Adam, after Shazam 2, after The Flash especially, they've had to really put their numbers down, and it's sad, but they have to readjust.
They have to readjust.
So Aquaman 2, right, which has been in production for quite a long time, has also been rumored that
That
their
will also
expectations
have
are
problems, right?
a lot of problems. So that has been downgraded as well as to the expectations they have for it. Also, if you guys remember when Jason Momoa did this meeting and he said, "I'm so happy, I love DC heads, I love James Gunn." So there's a lot of rumors as to, is he going to be cast as Lobo, or is he going to continue as Aquaman? Maybe as another version, as another variant of Aquaman in the new universe that's been built now after the Flash, right?
If they're dropping Gal Gadot, they've already dropped Henry Cavill. He ain't coming back as well.
Then maybe he comes as Lobo, right?
Maybe.
But how would the fans?
Tough to accept that, man. Tough to accept.
Right? Like if he was never cast. Sorry to interrupt, but if he was never cast as Aquaman, which I think is one of the most fantastic casting for Aquaman, and him coming as Lobo, because I imagined him as Lobo, and I was like, this guy could nail it. But now to see him as Aquaman, his brand, his style, he's completely changed Aquaman. Let's be honest. From being the brunt of the joke, blue-eyed blonde, to this.
It's not gonna work. I'll tell you why. Because Aquaman 1 nailed it. Huh? It was a good movie. The trench, everything. Amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
Amazing, especially that end fight sequence.
One did a great
with
job.
Ocean Master.
Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
It was a proper popcorn movie.
What's the actor's name for Ocean Master? That guy's good, right? What's his name?
I'm not the best with names, so
he's been.
It's all on you.
Google him. He's in a good movies as well, man. Patrick what?
Stewart?
No,
sorry, X-Men, Professor X. Oh my God.
Not Patrick Stewart.
Oh my God. Okay, that's a big mistake.
What's his name?
Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson, yeah.
Thank you, Google.
At least I remember the first name.
Yes, you did indeed. Brownie points on that. Yeah.
Patrick Wilson.
No, I think Aquaman was a great.
Ocean Master was amazing.
Well-made movie.
Patrick Wilson did an amazing job.
Yeah.
An amazing job as a character.
Another fun brag, but I went to the premiere for Aquaman and I really enjoyed it. Good old London back in the days.
Good old London.
Yeah. But I must say, it was cheerio indeed. It was I would say it was nothing extravagant or nothing that hadn't been done before, but it was a good popcorn movie, good entertaining movie, great visual effects, amazing, yeah.
I loved it, man. I loved it, and
although a lot of people don't like it, by the way. They don't like it.
I don't know why, but I mean, I'll say it once again. For me, Ocean Master stole the show. Patrick Wilson's acting.
What about Black Panther?
Black Panther's okay.
So much promises.
Great actor though. Great actor though.
Yeah.
But it had a link with
with the
Shazam.
Which is that's correct. Yeah, we saw him.
The post credits he did. Yeah.
So would you say? I feel that I think that he's going to continue as Aquaman. I think it's been cemented after what you've said.
That's a bit too much, right?
But he's exuberant. He's so happy. Why would he be so happy when he met with James Gunn? He has a future apparently in the DCU. So do you feel he's going to be Lobo, or is he going to be another character?
I don't think he's going to be Lobo. Maybe Aquaman. I don't think so.
I think it's just
Lobo would be a tough one. And I think Lobo might come in Booster Gold or might in these movies or in Lanterns. There's a high chance that he might come there. You know? That the Lanterns might be going after Lobo,
Yeah.
Because Lobo is a mercenary, right?
Correct.
Okay. So they might be going after Lobo, but stop this intergalactic mercenary, he's coming to Earth, etc., something like that.
I think let's just quickly, what do you think? Let's just go into the current news.
Yeah, let's check out the news and see, what's happening in the DCU. What's popping right now? Because the rumors are just,
Yeah, rumors are popping back and forth. Yeah, it is indeed. Yeah. So, Blue Beetle apparently will have 2 post-credit scenes.
Wow. Let's see what those are.
Yeah.
Let's see what those are.
That just adds to the hype. So.
Do you think that will lead to Superman Legacy? Since he's the first DCU character, but this is not the first DC.
Correction.
Maybe?
Yeah, we've just confirmed that James Gunn said that he's the first DCU character, but not the first DCU movie. So I stand corrected. So yeah, I got it 50%. So yeah, I'll get some points. That's a good point, but then that would have had to have James Gunn's involvement, which could happen.
It had reshoots, right? Oh, it had reshoots.
It had reshoots.
It had reshoots when James Gunn came in.
Day before yesterday, the director was commenting on somebody told him that Zack Snyder tweeted that he would like to go see Blue Beetle, and the director said that I'm a fan of Zack Snyder's work, and we have some snippets or some tidbits of tribute to Man of Steel in the movie. Maybe it's not indirect, but I'm not saying the poster.
There is a scene in the trailer. Yeah. There's something.
Well, there's the Batman and the fascist dialogue, which I don't like.
No, there's a Superman one as well.
But I'm sure, yeah.
In the background, there is.
But apparently, he seems to be a fan of Zack Snyder, and he's given us some bit. But you're right, though. That would be a good thing if they could include something about Superman Legacy, especially in the post-scripts. That would be a good tease.
At the end, you might get Daily Bugle. No, not Daily Bugle. What's his name? What's the newspaper's name? Metropolis? No.
Daily Planet, right?
Daily Planet.
Daily Planet, yeah.
Daily Planet.
And Zolo, okay, I was gonna say poor old Zolo, but good old Zolo, the actor who's playing Blue Beetle, has said that the success of the movie depends on the fans and the audience. So how good the reception is, we're gonna see it in the future. I see he's very eager, and I feel, as you said, like this is the first introduction of Blue Beetle on the big live screen.
I'm
I hope it
relying on my Latino brothers. Andale boys, let's go!
Please go support. I think universally DC fans should go and support Blue Beetle.
No man, I think.
By the way, we haven't been endorsed or no sponsorships or anything.
Nothing.
We just feel that it's a movie which isn't getting much noise and traction, which I think it deserves, as you know.
So I also don't want to spoil it for the people as well, but this character will be very good. Okay, especially when he learns when he learns about his powers and the villain that he's fighting. Okay, I mean, if it is taken from the comics, it will be very good. Okay, and I think people will love this movie, and they'll relate to it more as well.
That's good, and maybe because they don't hype it so much, it helps them in a way.
It helps. It helps.
Like we're talking about it, and I think we should just move on to the DCU schedule.
Let's
and
see.
So
you got closer with that. Blue Beetle is there.
So you got Blue Beetle.
Then you got Aquaman. Then you got Joker. Okay. Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn. Let's see that.
Yeah.
Penguins is also an Elseworld. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Joker's also an Elseworld.
Okay, Creature
Commandos. James Gunn is really hyped for this. He keeps promoting this a lot. Creature Commandos. So it seems that he's been working hard on Creature Commandos.
I think this might be his Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Because I'm thinking.
And once again, people don't know much about Creature Commandos, so that could be interesting. We've got Superman Legacy, July 11, 2025. Let's see if it gets delayed.
Almost 2 years later.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes you need to really cook the stuff.
But Batman is also coming the same year, so that'll be
Batman is coming in October 2025.
Okay.
Part 2, part of Elseworlds.
Waller is coming, okay.
Yeah, Waller people seem to be. I was a bit surprised Waller getting her own series.
I think that would be good.
Interesting.
I think that would be good.
Could be, yeah.
Because they'll probably link into that same episode, if you remember, of the Justice League animated series where she's with Terry, Batman Beyond, right?
Yeah.
And she's telling you about Batman and why he's a clone of Batman and etc. stuff like that. So stuff like that, because she is really part of the behind the scenes of the DC.
Oh yes, and she can be so ruthless, my God.
Yeah. She has her own agenda. She has everything.
But she can be an evil bleep as well.
Yeah. And she's smart.
She's really smart. Yeah, she knows how to really use people.
She is really on top.
Especially the Suicide Squad and whatnot.
Peacemaker season 2.
Obviously, it's very well, highly requested from the fans. People love
Let's
Peacemaker.
see how that turns out. Lanterns, the Authority. Okay, this is something that I want to see. The Brave and the Bold there. Paradise Lost.
And also, before we move on, Brave and the Bold, as you know, it was supposed to be the same director of The Flash, but he's now not linked to Brave and the Bold, citing creative differences. So yeah, Booster Gold, as you said, could be something really good if done well. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. So we don't get Superman, Man of Tomorrow, but we get Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
That's interesting. Swamp Thing would be interesting.
Swamp Thing, wow.
The TV series was amazing.
And
if you haven't seen it.
And then it says Superman Elseworlds.
That is strange.
That is strange, right? To be announced, so there's no date. But wow.
Do you think Henry Cavill is in that? I doubt it very much.
Oh,
wow. Why would you keep? I
No.
mean, I don't know why he's doing that. I don't know.
I don't think that would happen. Yeah. So yeah, this is pretty much, I would say, what's been happening. Some of our thoughts on all the news that the news going back and forth with DCU, DCEU. What we think about Superman Legacy and Gal Gadot, Henry Cavill. We touched up on Black Adam as well, so that was a really good inclusion by BigB on that. So I'm really glad for that. And we know what was good with The Flash, what worked, what didn't work, what could have worked, and what could have been the Snyderverse if it had been completely wrapped up, and what it isn't, how things have left unfinished, and why it doesn't stop the fandom from letting it go.
Letting it go.
Let it go. Let it go. Sometimes it's not that easy to let it go. So yeah, well, but we're tentatively excited about the future of DC, and let's just hope for the best. So,
excited, happy. Let's see what happens in the future, man.
indeed, yeah. So that's been JB and BigB.
Yep.
And this is all your DC news, and we'll get back to you with another episode on some more exciting stuff.
That's true, guys.
Yep.
In the meantime, take care, subscribe, like, follow, and peace.